Today we're going to talk about Frequency Splitter. We're not necessarily going to talk about the interface or all the controls, because I know there are already tutorials on this. This is going to be about why Frequency Splitter. Why do we need it? Listen to this bass line, and this will send us down that path. You can hear that that particular synth bass line has a ton of low content, a ton of mids content, and a ton of high content. So my ear is often attracted to synth sounds that have a ton of that, but then you have to drop them in a mix and figure out how it's going to work. That is the reason you would need Frequency Splitter. In particular, if there is a bass element involved, which in this instance there is. Might preface all of this by saying linear phase might be a good idea so you don't have any phasing with the crossovers, but I'm not going to do linear phase in the video because it could add latency and cause problems for the video. So I'm not going to do that, but know that if I were mixing, I probably would. That said, let's listen to the synth bass line again. Let's listen to just the low end, which means I'm going to disable the mids and the highs. On the left here, by the way, it's controlling your crossovers, lows to the mids and the mids to the highs. And also you can change the slope. Like I might do a steeper crossover right there. Okay, so now we have mids. So that's fine for this example. In a mix I do, if I have a bass sound or a synth with bass in it, I like to separate the part of that synth that has sub in it or maybe below 200 and treat that uniquely. The reason I do that is because this area right here in any mix can take up a lot of headroom and be very powerful unintentionally if you're not careful. So that's why I separate them. Now, how are we going to frequency split this? In order to split it, what you're going to do, this synth is routed here. I've called it Cubist Pumpkin. It's from Harmer. So now to split that out from here, what we're going to do is we're going to sidechain this track over here. We're going to right click that little arrow thing, select sidechain to this track. What we're also going to do is do it here and here. And I've color coded them. So red is low, yellow is mids, high is green. I've called them 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, 3. Even though in the numbers over here, when we're routing them, those numbers won't necessarily line up. If you didn't set up these side chains, no matter what you do over here in these areas, it won't frequency split. But now that we have the side chains, we can send them. I'm going to send this to 2 because 1 is sending it to its own track. I'm going to send low to 2. Mids to 3, high to 4. Now what's going to happen here is you're actually going to double the volume of the Cubist Pumpkin. So that's a problem, obviously. We're going to solo save this track, or whatever they call that in FL Studio. If you're wondering how to do that, you hit Shift left click, and it creates this little lock, and then I'm going to turn that off. Like left click it and turn it off. We have the same thing, but now bass element, mids, highs. And that's how we separate them. So now I could apply EQ and compression just to this bass element. And the same on the mid element and the same on the high element. Just one last thought about this. So over here in Frequency Splitter, we have the main out section and we have the sends section. It's important to know that you are frequency splitting and sending those signals before this main out section. So that main out section, no matter what you do to it in its own section, it will not affect the sends. So watch this. Once again, look at the mixer. Only 1, 2, and 3 are selected. And in the main out, I can do anything to any one of these bands. I could mute them. No changes at all. But of course, then if you did it over here in the send section, that would affect all the outputs on the frequency split sections. All right, so I hope that helped you figure out why you might need Frequency Splitter. This, by far, is one of the coolest things I've seen in FL Studio in a minute. So make use of it. There's so many things you could do. I hope you're having a great day. I'll catch you soon.